Good Thursday afternoon to you. 4 o'clock time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. Browns continue to get ready to face the Dolphins down in Miami Sunday at 1 o'clock game. They just have to have, without question, at 3 and 5. Some good news relative to guys that will or will not play, and some concerning news. David Njoku still working on the side on that ankle. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah not able to go, still day-to-day with that knee. Jack Conklin resting. Perrion Winfrey, illness, not on the field second straight day. Martin Emerson back on the field today, along with Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Amari Cooper, Joel Bitonio, who rested. Best news of all, though, Denzel Ward says that he is, in fact, good to go. Ward met with the media, talked about getting back on the field and able to play, as well as the challenge of facing Tyreek Hill in that fast receiving corps from the Dolphins.
It's been rough. I mean, it's just been the protocol and just going through all the steps in there, trying to get clear, but just glad to be out of it and back with the team. Yeah, it's tough. You guys see he's a fast, talented player out there, able to take the ball to the house whenever he gets in his hands. So I'm looking forward to the matchup, looking forward to going out there, going against those guys. I mean, these are games that you make a name for yourself, so I'm looking forward to it.
And with that, let's welcome in Quincy Carrier from Untitled Unfiltered Browns coverage. Quincy, yeah, I like having Denzel back, but nothing short of easing into it. You're going right into the teeth of the lion, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, the both of those wide receivers are ranked in the top 5 according to Pro Football Focus, with the quarterback who's up there and number 1. So yeah, for Denzel Ward, it's gonna be a pretty I would say exciting opportunity for him. But also, I think something to keep in mind with Denzel Ward is that, hey, he does have support there, right? This isn't the old days where it was just Denzel Ward and a bunch of other guys. Now there's MJ Emerson there to help carry that load. And there's Greg Newsome there to help carry that load. So it will be a lot. I mean, any amount of covering Tyreek Hill is a lot. But I think you can dole it out in chunks that he can handle.
Fair enough. Joe Woods talked about getting Ward back and what it would mean to help defending this high-powered Dolphins offense.
It's definitely good to have him back. I feel confident in all the guys we have back there, but to add that element of speed, somebody that's played, against Tyreek in the past, it definitely gives you confidence. And I think there are certain things that I'll be able to do coverage-wise.
And Quincy, that they kept talking about mixing it up. I don't know, that scares me a little bit.
Joe Woods said he got tricks in the bag, man. Like he said, I got some things I can do. That was hilarious. He was like, hey man, look, I know Denzel coming back all pro and all that, but don't forget, I'm Joe Woods. I'm gonna show you what I can do. Look, it can either be one of the greatest things you've ever seen, or it will be a disaster when it comes to that. And look, when Joe Woods actually does stuff, I don't think that's where we have a problem with him. It's that sometimes we feel like he's not doing stuff actively in the game, right? Like there's not an active game plan for the defense. So we'll see. He seems pretty confident in his ability to slow this offense down. We'll see if that confidence is warranted by like about 4 o'clock on Sunday. But, I'm glad he feels confident in his plan, right? Like he feels confident in his guys. He feels confident in his game plan. That's good, because if he was sitting here like, I don't know what to do with them, like that would be a problem, right? Because then that means we got nothing.
Yeah, fair enough. And I know you've addressed this on your show, Untitled Unfiltered. Is it a must-win game for the Browns?
Yeah, especially when we look at the wild card picture, right? Because one of the things we don't think about is conference losses. We think about the division record, we think about the overall record, we don't think about the conference record. But the Browns have a 2-4 conference record right now. History tells you that once you get more than 6 losses, it gets very hard to win the wild card, unless like it's a very off year, and even then teams with bad records probably get over you at that point. So you need to be able to avoid getting that 6th conference loss, and you play the Bills, who I'm going to assume have Josh Allen at home in Buffalo. So let's just be realistic there and say that that's probably not a win. So you don't want to end up at those 6 conference losses by the time that Deshaun Watson steps into this season. You want to give him a little bit of room for error. And this week you need to get one of these next 2, and this is the one you probably can get, right? Because Buffalo next week, if they lose because they got to start Case Keenum against the Vikings, I don't think Buffalo's going on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind is the first tiebreaker's head-to-head. And the Dolphins are going to be in that mix. So that's and you've already lost tiebreaker to the Jets. So there's
amazing we're talking about the Jets as a tiebreaker.
Yeah, I know. Who'd have thought? All right, let me ask you this. So the Browns did a self-scout on the bye week. If you snuck into that self-scout room, what would you be trying to throw in there as something they should do more of and something they should do a whole lot less of?
The inner troll in me is trying to avoid saying run the ball or something like that. But realistically, if you're the Cleveland Browns, like, be aware of what you can force teams to do offensively, right? Like, I love it when the Browns go ultra heavy. We don't have a name for it, but I don't think a lot of other teams do this, where they have a lineman in at fullback and a lineman in at tight end, and they pull both guys. Like, the Browns can go ultra heavy at times, and look, that's going to be something you can only go to about 4 or 5 times a game, and you're going to want to do it on the goal line. But when you do that, you can force defenses into a precarious situation where, hey, if you can't stop Nick Chubb out of base, now we're going to be able to attack the edges. One of the things I want to see this offense do, and it's probably going to happen with Watson instead of Brissett, is when we have defenses in that situation, be more aggressive. Push the ball downfield more. Take more shots. If you have one-on-one opportunities with Amari Cooper, trust it, because he's really good downfield. They just need to find a way to be able to create more explosives on offense. Defensively, that's a whole different beast, right? Like, they haven't been consistent enough for me to really do a self-scout on them where I'm like, oh yeah, this is just what you got to fix, because every week is a different problem. So I want to see some consistency here before I can really point anything out. But offensively, I would say, don't be afraid to get a little bit more aggressive. I know Twitter's going to hate it. I know they hate anytime we throw the ball more than like 10 yards, but it's there. It's there a lot. Every time I look at the film, I look at like 6 different plays where I'm like, man, Jacoby could have had this. Jacoby could have got a touchdown here. He could have did this. We're just a little bit more aggressive. Took a little bit of the quick chunk, got the 3 points, but the touchdowns are there in this offense. The guys are open. I feel like we just need to trust it more often.
I'm with you as far as the heavy personnel. I think Alex Van Pelt said today they call it double heavy. When they go with the extra lineman, I
call it a whole lot of headaches. That's what they call it.
If you want to put 8 in the box, we're going to go with 8 offensive linemen, and I don't see the downside to doing that every once in a while, because that's something that a team has to plan for. You have to deal with that during the week of game planning if the Browns show it enough.
It's like boxing, right? Where if you want to put 8 in the box, you're going to put yourself in a position to get hit. You got to make sure those hits are effective, right? So if you're going to sit there and take my jab because you don't want me to get to my hook, okay, cool. I'm going to make the jab hurt. Like, how many of these jabs do you want to take? And the Browns be pulling them jabs with usually fullbacks, right? They're usually light jabs. But no, they pull 300-pounders there. Like, what happened to that linebacker? What was it, Joseph Asai in Cincinnati? That's the demonstration that the Browns are trying to put out here. Yeah, you can put all these guys on the line of scrimmage and then have that guy there. But how often is that dude gonna want to take that hit? And once he doesn't want to take that hit anymore, that edge is gonna be wide open for us. So please keep doing it.
Yeah, I agree. Quincy Carrier and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we'll talk a little bit about Jacoby Brissett. Sports for CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Quincy Carrier. Let's take a listen to Joel Bitonio talking about the Browns quarterback, Jacoby Brissett.
He's taken the reins, and it's been his job. But the way he's played is just it's impressive to me. He's been in a lot of tough situations in his career, where he's gone and wasn't sure he was going to start, ends up being the starter, things of that nature. But I think he's making good decisions with the ball, and that's something we always stress here is, we can't turn the ball over. We got to take care of the ball. So he's done a good job with that, and taking what's there. We're not trying to force too much, but when he has to take those big shots, you saw last game against, Amari Deep. Those type of plays have been huge for us.
And Quincy, when he has forced the ball, things have not gone well. Browns, I believe, are -4 giveaway takeaway. I think that's more a function of the defense not turning the ball over, but Jacoby Brissett has played better than I expected. I mean, what are your thoughts about the way he's played?
I feel like he's really benefiting from what the Browns have around them. I feel like Kevin Stefanski is putting him in situations to be successful, and he is benefiting from that. Like, a lot of the talk about Jacoby Brissett was based on his prior work, and one of the things I tried to bring up was, the prior work wasn't that bad. If you actually look at the averages, remember I brought up the whole what his average would be for this year. Everyone was like, oh, that's pretty good. That's usually what he does. But people got so focused on the win-loss record with him that they lost track of what he actually produces. And they lost track of the fact that he's been put in terrible situation after terrible situation. He gets traded mid-season to the Colts, or right before the season starts to the Colts to have to start. And then all of a sudden, Andrew Luck retires and now he has to start. And then Tua gets hurt and now he has to start, right? He has never been in a situation where he had a full offseason, a full camp, just to get ready for an offense that is going to have some elements of it built around him. And that's what we're seeing this year is, hey, if you put some things around him, and if you, I don't want to say commit, because they're clearly not committing to him because he's only playing 11 games. But if you make the commitment to play him a set amount of games and that you build around that, then you can get a good amount of stuff out of him because he's a smart decision maker. He's a talented enough thrower of the football, and he's not fast, but he's quick-footed. He has quick feet, so he can be a little slippery in the pocket. And all of those things add up to a guy who can be a pretty decent bridge quarterback. And I think that's what Jacoby has demonstrated, that, look, he's not going to be franchise guy. Nobody has that expectation for him. But he's a bridge guy. He's a top-tier backup, top-level bridge quarterback. And I think a team that probably will draft the quarterback this year will have their eyes on Jacoby Brissett because he's the kind of guy that you want in there to be a mentor to a young guy.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he's probably played himself into a pretty nice bridge quarterback contract. This is from CBS Sports. So Brissett is the first Browns quarterback with 75% completion percentage, 250-plus yards, and 0 interceptions in back-to-back games. Need to make that 3 in a row with the Dolphins coming up because this is a game they need to have.
Yeah, and it's a game where the secondary is going to be a point of emphasis for you to attack. So, we're going to probably need Jacoby Brissett to have another good game there. But, yeah, that has been very promising what you've been able to get from him. And then, obviously, when you look forward, hey, if we're able to get this much out of Jacoby Brissett, what can we squeeze out of this offense, or what more can we squeeze out of this offense once we get the guy that they're paying $45 million a year to play quarterback for. So a lot of positives to look forward in this offense. Jacoby has done a great job doing what's asked of him. And I think Kevin Stefanski's system has been proven to work for if you're willing to work with the system, right? The one year where it was an outright disaster, we know what the rumors were, given that there was stress between the quarterback and the head coach about the offense. But every other year where the quarterback and the head coach are in lockstep, I mean, it's been great. The offense has been pretty good. So, this is a hat tip to Kevin Stefanski, the work he does. Hat tip to Drew Petzing, the quarterback coach, the work that he does. And it's a hat tip to Jacoby Brissett for taking advantage of the opportunity, because some guys don't.
So you brought up, Watson. What do you think this offense looks like with Deshaun Watson in a couple of weeks, and how good can it be, do you think? That's a quarterback.
Yeah,
Kevin hasn't had a quarterback like that. Let's be honest. Kevin Stefanski hasn't had a quarterback the caliber of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I guess the best you could say he's had was Kirk Cousins, and we're hoping that Deshaun Watson's a little bit better than Kirk Cousins. And no disrespect to Kirk, it's just, there's a difference of what you pay for Deshaun versus what you pay for Kirk. What Deshaun brings you, though, on day one is added dimensions to your offense, right? Because right now the Browns are like 1.5 dimensional. They're really good at running the football, and they're good enough throwing it to where you're going to be a little hesitant on stacking those boxes. Ultimately, teams are going to stack those boxes, but they'll be a little bit more hesitant to do it. Deshaun Watson walks in there, and now you're 5-dimensional, right? Now you can run it. You can throw it competently. Teams are going to respect it. You can run it with Deshaun. You could do RPO action, tunnel screens. You can move the pocket. You all of a sudden have this bevy of options. And I think we don't really have a great grasp on what a quarterback like that does for an offense, because since this team has come back in '99, and I guess you could go all the way back to Bernie Kosar, but that was a different league. This team really hasn't had a franchise quarterback. And I think that's going to be kind of interesting to see what the reactions are once we realize, he does this for everybody. Like, he opens up things for Nick Chubb. He's going to open up things for Donovan Peoples-Jones more so than what's already been there. Amari Cooper and him, hopefully they have great chemistry from what I hear from what they did in camp. They're going to be pretty good together. So when Deshaun gets out there, there's going to be a change in the consistency and how quick they can score, and just how easy it feels for the Browns to be able to get points up. That's going to be a notable difference, and I think that's going to be one that's welcomed.
All right, this is from 538.com. Best NFL pass catchers at making the catch. So when the ball is there, who holds on to it? Number 1 in the league is Tyler Lockett. Number 2 in the league is Donovan Peoples-Jones. You see Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, third. And you're going to find Tyreek Hill on Sunday. But that goes to show you just where Donovan Peoples-Jones ranks. He's taken a step forward. If you've been paying attention, he's what you want in all really good offenses have a receiver like Donovan Peoples-Jones.
You know what he is? He is what everybody wanted Rashard Higgins to be, but in real life, though. You know what I mean? Because everybody wanted Rashard to be that guy, and sometimes Rashard in some games would be that guy. But what he is he is that third down wide receiver, right? That, hey, you need 3rd and 7, you throw it to Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he just comes up with the tough catch. It reminds me of Kevin Johnson, the old Brown, right? That was Kevin Johnson's whole thing was 3rd and 7, man, he got it. He got them strong hands. He's just reliable. There's Quincy Morgan was dropping everything, but Kevin Johnson, he was reliable on that situation. It was Dennis Northcutt, too, on that team, too, so it was just a whole mess. But, yeah, he's really just that kind of wide receiver where it's he's not going to take the top off the defense. He's not going to be wide open. But if you run a slant and you just need somebody to catch it to get 5 yards, he's as good as money on that one. And that's really where he's made the improvement, his consistency, his reliability. And again, when a guy like Deshaun gets in there and he's able to pinpoint, throw these balls a little bit more accurate into tighter windows, I think you're going to see even more out of a Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like, he is, what Kenny Stills used to be. He is what Willie Snead was for the Ravens in 2019, which was a very important piece that they have not really replaced since he's gone, which is that reliable third and mid-ground guy that you could just rely on to make a catch in a tight moment. And those guys, those are usually the fan base's favorite receiver, even if they're not the best one.
Yeah. They're the guys that make the big catches. All right. AFC playoff leverage with a win and a loss. This is a chart from Pro Football Focus. So, Browns win. It brings their chances up to 30%. With the Browns loss, it lowers their chances to under 10%. So you see the range there. That is how important this game against the Dolphins is, and I agree with it. I get the big range there, and you win this one, and you can find a way to steal another one. Now you're doing something.
Yeah, you get the 5 wins, right? That's the whole thing we were talking about. If you get the 5 wins before Watson comes back, you have a chance. It's not a great chance, but you have a chance to control your own fate. And that's what the Browns are looking straight ahead to, is, hey, we have a chance here. Now, if you do something crazy like upset the Bills, and we talking about getting excited here, but I'm not about to put myself in that position yet. 1 week at a time, right? But that is kind of the MO, is like, hey, you just got to win the games ahead of you, right? You lost some games behind you that stink. Team should be 5-3. You can make the argument they should be 6-2, but they're 3-5, so they got to win these games right ahead of them.
Yeah, you didn't win the games you should, so you got to pull out a couple that are going to be tougher without question. Quincy Carrier and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason to hear what you want to talk about. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
Maybe cliche, but there's no I in team. The only identity that matters is we. The collective effort to love thy neighbor is needed now more than ever. The responsibility behind pronouns such as I, me, and mine impact we, us, and ours. So understand that you make all the difference in the team. He, him, her, or she can't disturb our peace, since we control our destiny as student athletes. This is the power of pronouns.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with Quincy Carrier. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, this is Rico. With Deshaun Watson set to return in a few weeks, most fans and media members are talking about who will benefit the most from his presence and quarterback play. So my question is, who do you think will least benefit from Watson? Or in other words, which player or players do you think will kind of suffer because of Watson? Thank you. Go Browns.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Quincy, I don't think anybody's – maybe Jacoby Brissett, because he's going to go back to being the backup. It will take a little bit of time, I think, for maybe the tackles and some of the linemen to get used to a guy that scrambles a little bit more and can keep plays alive, just in terms of blocking and how. I mean, you got to block a little bit longer for Deshaun Watson because he's going to extend it.
It's like, do we talk about if Nick Chubb comes back and plays, who's going to benefit the least from that? Who's going to get hurt from Nick Chubb playing? I don't know. But Dearness Johnson, like, do it matter? You know what I mean? Like, the person that's going to get hurt the most probably is what, Kellen Moore or Josh Johnson. One of them got to go if he comes back. When he comes back, maybe. But, like, I don't know how one of your best players coming back is going to be a detriment to anybody on the offense, especially because, yeah, you could talk about the tackles. They might have a little bit more of an issue, but Deshaun Watson is notably more slippery than Jacoby Brissett, who's pretty slippery himself. So I think this is probably going to benefit everybody on the offense. It should, right? You pay somebody $45 million a year because they're able to benefit everybody on the offense. And, you know, I know there's like, we've had to talk about this Watson return forever, right? Like, this has been a talking point since March about this. So we're trying to hit all angles of it. But would we do this if Myles Garrett was coming back, when Myles Garrett was coming back from injury? Who's Myles Garrett's return going to hurt the most? No, it's not going to hurt anybody because Myles Garrett's really good at football. And dudes who are really good at football tend to make everybody else's life easier, right? Deshaun Watson's really good at football. How good he's going to be coming back, that's debatable, right? Like, we don't know which level of Deshaun he's going to get. I would argue that he's probably going to be Deshaun, right? Like, I don't know if he's 2020 Deshaun, but he's going to be somewhere close to that range, which is going to be notably better than Brissett. So I think this is a situation where you're upgrading, right? And even we can say Jacoby Brissett's not going to benefit, but I do think Jacoby Brissett benefits from, you know, only having to play 11 games to get his money next year versus having to play 17.
Yeah, when you look at it that way, yeah, because I think Brissett has definitely played himself, like we were talking about last segment, into a bridge quarterback contract without question. This again from NFL on CBS. Most hurries, so not sacks, but most hurries this season. Zadarius Smith, 30, tied for the league lead with Myles Garrett. A guy that's only 3 behind is Jalen Phillips. That is an edge rusher that the Browns will have to figure out how to block coming up Sunday for the Miami Dolphins. But, you know, Garrett's missed a game, hasn't been 100% for a while. People are complaining about production. All he's done is has the most hurries in the NFL.
Oh my God, his game last week was on Monday Night Football was just a masterpiece. It was one of the best defensive end games you could possibly have. He is so good, Dave. Like, it's so hard to continue to describe how good he is, but it's necessary because he keeps elevating his play. Last year, I thought he was about as good as he's going to be. This year, he's better. And he is notably better. I mean, his impact, the way that he can just beat guys off the line of scrimmage and just immediately affect plays. Myles Garrett's really, really good at football this year. And look, I know sometimes it's hard for people to appreciate what he does, especially, or see how he affects the field, but like, he affects the game almost every play he's out there just because of his presence alone. You'll look, whenever they run off Myles Garrett, all of a sudden you'll start to see teams start to throw the ball down the field more, right? Like, that's not a mistake. Like, that is because they are terrified of Myles. Watch it this week, right? I promise you, Tua is not going to be holding the ball, trying to get the ball 30 yards or 40 yards down the field to Tyreek Hill when Myles is out there. They're going to wait till it's like Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas to really try those things. That's the kind of impact that he has. He literally shuts down a chunk of teams' playbooks just by existing. That's dominant right there.
Yeah, that's kind of what you're looking for. All right, this from Pro Football Focus. Projecting the top 2023 offseason needs for all 32 teams. For the Browns, they're going with the low-hanging fruit. Defensive tackle, safety, wide receiver. No team in the NFL has gotten worse play out of its defensive tackles than the Browns. Spent a ton of mid-round draft capital on the position, but none of Perion Winfrey, Tommy Togiai, Jordan Elliott has a PFF grade above 50 through week 9. And it's hard to argue the young guys have not stepped up yet. It's still early, but season is wearing on. and we're still waiting for somebody to really flash at that defensive tackle position.
I would say Jordan Elliott has had a better last 2 games of the season, and I would say Taven Bryant really has stepped up these last 2 games. It would be nice to see one of these younger guys step up. And Togiai, look, he was terrible at the beginning of the year, but he's actually been a little bit better as of recently. So the play is getting better there. It's not what you want. I would love for this team to have playmakers in the interior of this defensive line. I think that would just be so dominant. They could just stop the run with like 5 guys and just have that secondary just pin their ears back and really dominate teams. But that's not the world I get to live in right now. You know, other than that, I think they've underperformed certainly at the beginning of the year, but they have been stepping up their play week by week. And I think they've actually, the Baltimore game was a legit good game by that defensive tackle group. They really did a lot to get pressure on Lamar Jackson in that game and to keep that game within reach. So I think it's ticking up. It's not ticking up with those individuals that they pointed out. Perrion's not been playing. Jordan Elliott has been playing well. And Tommy Togiai is Tommy Togiai, but they've been doing more things with like flipping Alex Wright inside out, maybe playing some Isaiah Thomas inside out, and just getting more creative with their solutions there. That it's been a better rotation.
Yeah, and they're going to need to continue to do that. They need to continue to get better production out of there. Joe Woods talked about the importance of one specific element of the defense against the Dolphins, tackling.
For sure. You have to tackle against these guys. You know, as I mentioned earlier, they have multiple guys, whether it's the receivers, backs, tight ends. They get the ball to them. They can make guys miss and turn it into a big gain. I think we've improved over the last couple of weeks tackling, but that's going to be very critical to us having success.
And it's not just Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Raheem Mostert was like the Big Ten track champion as a senior at Purdue. So they've got a lot of speed. Missed tackles equal lots of yards for that offense.
Yeah. Talk about a week. You don't want the tackling issues to pop up again, right? But these are like the thing with Tyreek Hill. People get this misunderstanding that it's just the deep balls with Tyreek Hill. No, the deep balls are part of his game, absolutely. But where you don't want Tyreek to get you is when he runs those shorter routes, because he runs a ton of them, intermediate routes, and he's really good at them. And if he gets going there, then you're in trouble, right? If Tyreek gets like 100 yards on like 3 receptions, okay, you'll live with it. If Tyreek gets 130 yards off 8, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Like that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, and that's one of the things they try to do is get him the ball in space. Quincy Carrier and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out, other side of the break. We'll turn our attention more to the Dolphins, also head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports for CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Quincy Carrier. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
You know, everybody has their own ideas of how to stop this high-powered offense from the Dolphins. But, you know, in my opinion, I think that the same game plan that we had with the Chiefs week 1 last year, I think that we should do it again. Yeah, they're going to have 1 or 2 big explosive plays, but Joe Woods' game plan wasn't to stop the deep pass completely. It was to slow it down. And if we slowed their high-powered passing attack down, they'll be forced to run the football. I know we haven't been good at defending the run, but they'll be doing something that they're uncomfortable doing. You know, that's just my thought.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. What do you think, Quincy? How do you slow down that offense? They like to throw the ball over the middle and let their guys run.
You gotta disrupt those passing lanes. One, that's the most important thing, right? I think everybody, like, we instinctively go to, hey, sack them. Sacks would be great, but disrupt the passing lanes first. They get rid of the ball very quickly. They do a lot of play action. I think 45% of their plays are play action. I don't think this is the week to be over aggressive. I think this is the week to kind of sit back, worry about those passing lanes, and just condense the amount of vision that he can have on the field, right? That's how you really affect this offense with tip balls and things like that. He's a very accurate quarterback. You can't let him see where he wants to throw to. That's what I would think the main game plan would be. Also, offensively, offense will be your best defense this week. Keep the ball away from him, right? Like, limit possessions for a team like that. That always gives you a better chance to win. You have to be efficient and score on those possessions when you do it, when you do a game plan like that. But the Browns have been pretty good at doing that. So that would be the main point. Limit possessions and getting those pass lanes. Clog those pass lanes up. We're going to need those defensive tackles to be able to anchor and get their hands up.
Yeah, you mentioned Tua, and let's take a look. This is from Jake Trotter. Updated QBR rankings for quarterbacks. And top one in the NFL is Tua, and it's by a significant margin. Tua number 1, Lamar down at number 5 at 64.3. Hurts, the unbeaten Eagles quarterback, 63.1. Jacoby at 61.5. So let's also listen to what Joe Woods had to say that he has seen from Tua just in watching him.
I tell you what, just watching tape, he's a good player. I think he really goes through his progressions quickly. He gets rid of the football on time, and he's not afraid to throw the ball into tight windows. And the thing I see him do for young guys is throw receivers open as well. But he's been impressive. Just watching tape, the more I watch, the more impressed I am with what he's doing.
And again, he has had a great start to this season. But I'm with you. You gotta move him a little bit, and you gotta get in his passing lanes. If you sit back with him, he will pick a defense apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you let him get clean pockets and everything else like that, he will destroy you. And it's interesting, right, with Tua. It's like, I don't know if he's the best quarterback in the NFL, but QBR and PFF are both saying it, right? And this might be a situation where it's like, it might be Dante Culpepper with Chris Carter and Randy Moss, where it don't matter if he's actually not the best quarterback in the NFL. Like, he can get the ball to Chris Carter and Randy Moss. And that's what he has out there. He has Chris Carter and Randy Moss right there. Like, he has whoever you want to make Chris Carter, whoever you want to make Randy Moss. I'm sure neither of those receivers will be offended by the comparison. But that is what they got going right now. And, you know, in order to stop that, you need to make sure that he just can't see those dudes, right? Like, that's just your best bet, is to get your hands up. If you look at what Pittsburgh was able to do against them and limit that score against them, that's pretty much what they did. Was, hey, we're just gonna try to clog these passing lanes up so you can't even get the ball off.
Yeah, and you know, they do have a 3-game winning streak. Do the Dolphins, but it's against the Bears, the Lions, and the Steelers, and they've all been within 6 points. So it's. And I get it, the Browns are 3-5. They have not been beating the wheels off of people, so to speak. They've been winning close games. What do you think some keys are for the Browns?
Yeah, so the keys are, one, hey, can you run the ball out the gate against this Miami Dolphins defense? And will you be able to force them out of their base set? If you can do that, then you can really take advantage of the secondary. You can really move the ball easily on them. That's going to be one of those things, right? The Browns, what you need to see consistently is them being able to get to the 3rd and 5 at the very least, right? 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. I think Alex Van Pelt brought up that was one of those self-scouting things that they discovered, is that they're really good on those 3rd and 6 areas. Defensively, again, it's about clogging those passing lanes up, playing a disciplined game in the back end. This is going to be a team that's going to stretch you. This is going to be a team that's going to make you want to take that bite on that big play. This ain't the time to get the big play. You know, you're not going to get the big play over Tyreek Hill. This is what Tyreek Hill does. He baits you into thinking you're going to get the big play, and then he gets the big play on you. Just be disciplined. The play is never over with Tyreek Hill. Follow him until the whistle blows, because we've seen what happens when you just take a little bit of a half second off, thinking that there's no way Tyreek can get this ball. He gets the ball and then he scores with it. So that's one of those things. Tackling obviously going to be very important, but it's just going to be an all-around very tough game for this Browns team, but it's a doable task in front of them.
Yeah, and again, if they get to 4 and 5, then all of a sudden you're looking at it, and will Josh Allen play? I would assume he'll play for the Bills after a week rest if he doesn't play. And then you got the Buccaneers. So neither of those teams are playing as well as you thought they would be when you were looking at this stretch of games going, the schedule is kind of, it's coming back to the median, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like, again, we always talk about the schedule game, and I always say about the schedule game is that you don't know which version of that team you're playing that week, right? Like, if we as people, just regular old people, we don't feel the same every week, right? There are some weeks where we feel great. There are some weeks where, we're not feeling that great that week for whatever reason. It's the same thing with football teams because they're comprised of people. And look, some weeks that football team is rolling, they're feeling great, they're healthy, and then some weeks they're not, and they're not playing well, right? Like, these are ultimately human beings at the end of the day. They're going to have the same ebb and flow. So when we try to do this whole schedule game, it's about projecting, and we're just basically acting as if these guys are going to be exactly who everybody expects them to be, when that's never been the case. So it's always a week-to-week projection when it comes to football and the schedule. And this is a prime example why, because nobody looked at that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game as winnable. Now that's a game where if the Browns lose, people are going to be legit mad at Kevin Stefanski for that, right? Like, people, the expectations change during the season way more rapidly than we ever anticipate. And it happens every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. Quincy Carey, as always, appreciate it. Great stuff. Thanks for the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Quincy.
No problem, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Quincy Carey. Make sure you're checking him out. Unfiltered and untitled Browns coverage. Really good stuff, as always. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out on the side of the break. We continue talking Browns. It'll be Casey Kinnamon from Dog Pound Daily straight ahead. Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns here on Sports4CLE. Joel Bitonio met with the media, talked about where the Browns are after the bye week.
We did a little self-study and stuff, and, we've had some real successful. You can kind of see more individually, like successful runs, successful things. I mean, obviously, like, be in third and short, and it helps you out, don't be in third and long. Things like that where you kind of look at it, no duh. But no, we're in a good place. I think it was good for the guys to get away for a little bit and just reflect and come in with a bunch of energy. I thought we played our most, obviously we won, but our most energetic game as a team. And so if we can just bring that energy and passion, week in and week out, I think we're going to be a lot better.
Let's welcome in Casey Kinnamon from Dog Pound Daily. Casey, this one's huge. To have a realistic shot at making a run and getting into the playoffs, they need this one.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it was huge for this team to see the success they saw against Cincinnati heading into the bye. Their preparation actually paying off. Because this thing could have taken a terrible turn after the New England game. But in the 2 games since, they played their most complete games. And hopefully the week off just let their bodies heal. Mentally, hopefully they stayed with it so they can come out of the bye and take another step going forward.
Yeah. So this is from Pro Football Focus, 2022 NFL midseason All-Pro team. We refer to this as the Nick Chubb is good portion of the program. Nick Chubb, virtually unstoppable, has broken 51 tackles, 149 carries, averaging almost 4 yards a carry after contact. Leads the league in rushing touchdowns, second to only Derrick Henry. You could also say this guy's good too, Joel Bitonio. Only 9 total pressures in pass protection and a run grade by PFF of almost 90. And Myles Garrett's going to be getting that Nick Chubb is good kind of stuff too. 93.6 pass rush grade, highest of any pass rusher in the this season, regardless of position. So again, guys doing it and doing it effectively, they need to kind of put some things together and do it like they did against the Bengals, complementary football.
I've ran out of superlatives for Nick Chubb at this point. I mean, just appreciate that man. He's awesome. From his irrational love of Batman to the way he'll just hand the ball to a ref after an amazing touchdown. Like, just appreciate that man. And Myles always gets his accolades, like he's generational. And even though he's not really getting the sack numbers that people who chase box scores always kind of mark their players by, he's changing the math on every play. If you watch the tape, he's phenomenal. I just like seeing Joel get his flowers because he's been this good his whole career. And for interior offensive linemen in particular, it's really hard to be recognized for your success unless your team's winning. So it's just good to see him get his flowers. But you're right. These are the players that you expect to do well, and they are performing up to standard. So it's good for the younger players to see that these benchmarks are being met by the guys they consider to be like the linchpins of the team.
Yeah, again, they gotta get on a run here. Otherwise, it's not going to mean what it should when Deshaun Watson comes back. 3 surprises about the Dolphins that give the Browns an advantage. This is from Dog Pound Daily. Number 3, the Dolphins' secondary is vulnerable, and that's a fact. They've given up the 4th most completions to opposing quarterbacks and the 4th most touchdowns, 15. 4th most passing yards at over 2,200. Miami's also streaky. They won 3 straight. Before that, they had lost 3 in a row. Now, Tua missed a couple of those. But that 3-game winning streak, Casey, Lions, Steelers, Bears, all were by 6 points or less.
Yeah, the streakiness is kind of misleading because they've won every game that Tua has started and finished.
Yep.
But these last 3 games are against lesser opponents, and they're barely winning them. Now, you can also flip that around and say, well, they're finding ways to win, which is true. And if the Browns had that same thing going, they would be 6-2 at this point. But we are here now. You know, the Dolphins are not world beaters. They do have a lot of talent, and they know how to use it. But this is a very winnable game. But it's all about how the Browns approach it and their mentality going into it. Because they do have some, you know, there's some stiff competition out there. The Dolphins bring a lot of speed. They bring a lot of window dressing. They can stress you out before the ball's even snapped. So if this defense can come to play and stay disciplined, this is a game that they could win.
Yeah, and the defense of the Dolphins has not been great. They did go out and get Bradley Chubb to try to address some of their issues, but again, it's a team. They gave up 42 points to the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields last week. So they're coming off of that. They did win it. They scored 45, but they gave up 42.
Yeah, they're vulnerable. Their strength is up front. I mean, they have players. They got Christian Wilkins and Raekwon Davis. You know, Jalen Phillips, who's been a phenomenal pass rusher this year. You go ahead and add Bradley Chubb to that mix. And, you know, even Emmanuel Ogbah, like their strength's up front. But they can definitely be exploited on the back end. It's going to be if the Browns can implement their running game and then, you know, kind of loosen the defense up to take those shots. But if they can get those looks, you know, I like their chances.
Casey Kinnamon from Dog Pound Daily and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out, other side of the break. We'll hear from Joe Woods. What has been the big difference the last 2 weeks with this Browns defense? Sports4CLE, I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Casey Kinnamon from Dog Pound Daily. Joe Woods talked about the defense and the things it has done the last 2 games that they've played that have made it better.
I think the guys did a great job preparing. I think they were holding each other accountable for what they were doing on the practice field and on game day. For me, defensively, just trying to come up with a game plan where I felt like they could go out and play fast and execute. The different game plans against Baltimore and Cincinnati, they were drastically different, but I think everybody was comfortable with it, and I think we played well the last 2 games, and hopefully that continues to be the case.
And again, Casey, it's kind of interesting, fast and loose, and it sounds like he's paring things back and not trying to get too tricky.
Yeah, this is not the week to get tricky. You know, you can get burnt in a big way. It's all about being disciplined in this game. And this is a different challenge. This is a different challenge than what they had in Cincinnati. What the Dolphins do, you know, before you even snap the ball, they use all kinds of motion. They'll get to the line of scrimmage in 20 seconds and just kind of do all this window dressing to get you to show your hand. And then you have to factor in, they even run an RPO game just to freeze your linebackers up for a split second so they don't get the proper depth. Because what the Dolphins do, everyone's scared of the speed, but what they do exceptionally is the intermediate game. Nobody has as many completions from 10 to 19 yards as Tua. And what they're able to do with that speed is stress you out horizontally before they go to the vertical game, because they can throw a shallow cross to Tyreek Hill. He can make one guy miss, and it's a house call. So it's all about being disciplined, stay in your pass lanes, and tackle the ball carrier. That's the keys. Keep everything in front of you.
Yeah, and the other thing they attack the middle of the field a lot, and it's because of that speed. Three big storylines to watch when the Browns play the Dolphins. So this is from Dog Pound Daily. Number 3, how many carries will Nick Chubb get? Number 2, can the defense slow down the high-octane offense of the Dolphins? And number 1, can the Browns build momentum after that big win Monday night against the Bengals? So, I think, 1 and 2 kind of play into each other. I think the more you run Nick Chubb, the more you run the football, the more you control the clock. Best way to slow down that offense, keep it off the field, being the Dolphins.
Absolutely. With Chubb, this week I'd even extend it to touches, because the screen games kind of just went by the wayside these last few weeks. I'd like to see them bring that back and try to get Nick, the ball like 2 or 3 times on some screens and see if he can break things that way. But you're still looking for that sweet spot. You're still looking for about 25 touches, up to 30, that range right there. And if he's able to do that and gain success, that implements their game plan and kind of makes it their dance. Because you don't want to do what the Dolphins are doing. You want to keep them on the sidelines and let the Browns kind of, matriculate the ball down the field, because that's the game they're comfortable playing. They don't want to get out of character. And to do that, just run the offense through Nick Chubb.
How do you slow down that passing game of the Dolphins? Just Tua gets the ball out quickly. What do you do when you're looking at it?
You got to make him feel pressure. You have to. You got to make him think, If you just allow him to get a clean pocket and deliver, he gets the ball out exceptionally quick, and he's really accurate, especially in the intermediate. Where the Browns can kind of take advantage is in the deep shots, because everyone freaks out because of Hill and Waddle's speed, but you don't have to keep up with them because you can't. You're not going to win a race against Tyreek Hill. You just have to not freak out when he does get behind you, because you just have to be as fast as Tua's arm limitations. So play the ball, not the man. Because if Hill gets behind you and you go full retreat mode and freak out, I've yet to see Tyreek Hill catch a deep ball where his back's not facing the end zone. He's constantly coming back to get the ball. So play the ball, don't play the man. That's an easy recipe to get past interference. So if they can just stay disciplined and stay smart and trust their ball skills, they'll be fine.
So the Dolphins are a 3.5-point favorite. Let's take a look at predictions from NFL networks around the NFL. All of them take the Dolphins. So Daniel Jeremiah has it as a 1 point, Adam Rank 4. Maurice Jones-Drew, a pretty significant one. Nick Shook has it as a 1 point Dolphins win. I'm surprised that everybody went the way of the Dolphins. I get it's a road game. I get that the Browns have struggled. I kind of get the feeling they may pull an upset.
That should come with a disclaimer. All 10 of those people, they also picked the Bengals to beat the Browns. I screenshotted it. I got the receipts. And Mark Sessler and Nick Shook, shame on you. You're Browns fans. Just constantly turning on your team. But yeah, this is a game that's there to be gotten. This isn't some juggernaut that you can't beat. They can definitely play with the Dolphins, and they can definitely leave Hard Rock Stadium with a win. But they just have to stay on their keys and make it their game. You can't get involved the way the Dolphins want to stress you out. You stay disciplined, let everything stay in front of you. You make the plays that are there to be made, and you can come home with a dub.
The other thing is everybody talks about the Browns' run defense. They're tied in yards per carry with the Dolphins' run. Dolphins' run defense has given up 4.6 yards a carry, just like the Browns. It hadn't been good. And their pass defense has given up more yards because people haven't really run the ball because they can throw it on them. So the defense has given up a lot.
Yeah, they're definitely there to be exploited. This is going to be a good measuring stick to see if the Browns can take another step in their offense, because we kind of have an idea of exactly what we're looking at from what they want to do. But now we got to see if they can, tweak a couple things over the course of the bye and get the ball in the hands of the playmakers, especially on the outside. The Dolphins do, even though the defense is struggling, they have some good pieces in the back end. Xavier Howard is as good as any DB in the game. He's just dealing with some lower body injuries, but I think him and Amari Cooper is going to be a good matchup. I think where the Browns can exploit it is DPJ can have a big game this time.
Yeah.
Also, I would love to see David Njoku practice because I'm worried he's going to miss this one as well.
Yeah, and again, he went to school at the U, Miami in Florida, so I'm sure he would love to go back and play in that one. Casey Kinnamon, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Casey.
Hey, anytime, Dave.
Casey Kinnamon, make sure to check him out, Doug Pound Daily. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow at 4 on Sports for CLE.